there are different states have different climates, and sometimes the people, I think, in the warmer weather happen to be a little bit more happy and maybe more up or whatever. Um, but that's about the only difference. They're all people that have grown up with my music, and they know me and probably seen me many times before.
Sure.
Those kind of things. As you, I've been around for 50 years, so you go through a lot of changes. When I was very young, I was a sensation, and that lasted for a couple of years. And then I was a flop for a while, and then I came back, and then, I've had comebacks and things like that. And most of the time in show business, people don't have comebacks.
Right.
They're finished. But I've had a lot of things like that where I was, you know, sort of flat or whatever, and then boom, and it'd be a big upswing for one reason or another. In my particular case, um, I write songs that are about events, people. I create things that, like American Pie, that involve a lot of different aspects, but it's not just pure entertainment. I love songs. James Taylor is a very successful artist, but every song he sings is about love, basically, or lost love, or whatever. Um, I like to sing things about things that are outside of my world. Like the story of George Reeves, or The Grave, or Orphans of Wealth, which is about poverty, or Tapestry, which is the title of my first record, which is about the environment. And I wrote that 50 years ago. And so I read and I think and I put, and so therefore I'm somewhat of a cerebral guy. And because I write about so many different things, um, I'm not as commercial as record companies would like, and therefore I'm not as big a star as I might have been had I sang "And I Love You So" over and over, or some kind of love song, the same thing over
Sure.
and over. But I'd much rather hear a story about what you just told me than to just say, "Oh, your last hit was so wonderful." I really would. Songs, you
Right.
see, as we know what songs are. The whole thing is different from my perspective, and it really started, unfortunately, to change for me in about the mid 1980s, when Madonna took over and the video killed the radio star, which is a very true statement.
Right. Sure.
Music, as we knew it, required imagination, and when you start putting the video first and the song second, it's a second class song, really. And that's a fact. But the whole thing is a new kind of entertainment. So I'm not putting it down as such, but I am putting down a lot of the songwriting, because there's no melody there, and um, there's no identifiable lyric. Which, a song is like a person. Vincent is like a person. That song, it has an identity, it has a history, it has a personality, it has a vibration. Everything about it is like a person. It's a part of me. So that is a part of me that people have in their hearts, as are the other songs that I've written. They're all parts of me. And realize, why they perhaps acted, the way they did. So I don't really take sides too much in the political world, because I have things on the right that I appreciate and things on the left that I appreciate. I think people are very simple, and they've been therefore they take one side or the other, and they're very angry if you don't agree with everything they say. And that's the way it was to some degree in the 1960s, when things were divisive, and you know, and the Vietnam War turned everybody against each other. Families turned against each other. Brother
Sure.
versus. We were a lot smarter then. It was
Right.
really college, and
Sure.
not a place where you go to get propagandized about a bunch of political garbage, which is what college is now. It was really college, and our colleges were the best in the world. That's why everybody wanted to come here. And
So,
it's a question of dumbness, you know. Because I know three kinds of music. I know popular music, you know, show tunes and Irving Berlin and all that stuff. I know thousands of those. Then I know rock and roll from the 50s and early 60s, before the Beatles came along. Everything that Bo Diddley did and the Everly Brothers, everybody. That's my world. Okay, those songs. That's what I like. And then I know folk music pretty well. You know, I spent many years uh, learning songs, and I know thousands of songs that other people do that I would not perform, but I know those songs. So I have thousands of songs in my head, and the one thing about the folk thing and the use of words, Woody Guthrie came along. Everybody knows the simple song, "This Land Is Your Land." But he wrote beautiful songs like the plane wreck at Los Gatos, which is about the death of migrant workers. And the key to the song is, all they will call you will be deportee. In other words, they all died in this wreck, and they're just referred to as deportees,
sure.
like our folks who were in the country from Mexico, you know, illegally. That's how we refer, as sort of a subhuman reference in a sense. And these people are doing all the work, you know, for us. So you got to ask questions about this when you hear a song like that, or if you hear Dylan's "Lonesome Death of Haiti Carroll," or some of these. This is information about something,
Right.
and it's not pure entertainment. So I come from that background. So the few times that I've had major success with a song or an album, there's been that aspect to it. You know, that people would want to talk about the lyrics, ask questions. American Pie is a mother lode of that stuff, because you're asking about the assassinations, you're asking about Vietnam, you're asking about Buddy Holly and early rock and roll. That's just the start. And then you're asking about where's the country headed, you know, and all the rest of this stuff comes into play when you start talking about the lyrics of that song. So that was all intended. I wanted that
Right.
use of language, but those two especially, because the Beatles tr- they were heavy, but they were heavy in a different way. They were heavy in a sense that everything they did was different and everything they did was perfect. But Dylan and Woody Guthrie were masters of language, use of language. I am you know, those guys had a PhD. Maybe I have a master's, you know, but I'm not on that level. I don't write books, and I don't, but I'm very careful about my use of words and ideas in songs and how they're expressed. And when I read lyrics now from people, they are very sloppy.
Right.
They're not disciplined in their thinking. And they'll take 5 or 6 words to say what 2 words would say, and then they could have room for more ideas if they didn't use all those other words to say that simple thing. But they don't think that way. It's almost a lot of free verse, and nothing rhymes, and there's no uh, use of language in a fun way. You know, even there's no irony, there's no drama, there's nothing. It's just um, kind of rambles on. You know, and if you're a father of young people, I don't care how much good music they're listening to. There's so much bad stuff out there. And it's a heck of a job for a parent to raise a kid or multiple children and have them stay away from that stuff. And
Right.
even if you think you're succeeding, you're not, because it's going to get to them somehow, because every one of their friends are doing this, and they can't be, left out. When I was a kid, we would go to somebody's house, in the late 50s or whatever. The new Everly Brothers came out, and we would have 6 or 7 kids. Let's listen to the record, because only one person could afford to buy the record, you know.
Right. Sure.
So it was that kind of a community thing where young people would get together. Now there's this sensory assault, with television everywhere. It's really like, oh, I don't know, some kind of a bad Twilight Zone. You can't get away from CNN and all these other non-news stations. They spout these opinions, and it's wrong. They're CNN and MSNBC, and I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but I never saw anybody treated more harshly than him by these two stations every day, all day long. It was so bad that the New York Times said, we're not allowing our reporters to go on these channels anymore because they're not news. They put out there, and they divide them, and then you take Fox News on the other side. They have divided the country. Out this propaganda on the right and then this propaganda on the left. All of it is garbage, and people think it's news, and they've taken sides, and it's right down the middle. I mean, Trump got 78 million and Biden got 79 million or something, only a million different.